Welcome to Pop Culture Retro, which was recently voted the 15th best podcast by the residents of the Golden Years Retirement Community in Boca Raton, Florida. Each show, we'll revisit some of your favorite pop culture memories with insider and outsider perspectives. Now, please help me welcome your hosts, Ike Eisenmann and Jonathan Rosen.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Pop Culture Retro. I'm one of your hosts, Jonathan Rosen, along with a man who watched A Christmas Carol and felt Scrooge was a lot misunderstood, Ike Eisenmann. Ike, how are you today?
I'm good. Yeah, I have to agree with that. He is misunderstood. Everybody wants his money, and it's just like for nothing. Yeah, right. Well, I'll get blasted for that, but anyway.
Well, today we're doing another edition of Forgotten Films, and it was my choice. So I picked the 1996 sci-fi movie, The Arrival, starring Charlie Sheen, Lindsay Krause, Richard Schiff, Terry Polo, and Ron Silver. And you had not seen it. I've not seen it in 20 years. So I'm very curious always when I recommend something. I want to get, I'll set it up a little bit. Charlie Sheen is, I guess he works for SETI and, a form, I guess, with NASA a little bit too, I guess. And his whole job is to look for aliens and, signs of extraterrestrial life. And they get a signal, they get a huge signal. And it's kind of dismissed by his superiors. And we're starting like a sci-fi type thriller on the search. Are aliens here? Are they not here? And why is he being blockaded by his superiors as he's going through this, looking for them? So we'll go a little bit more into it, but that's the basic premise, I guess. And so your initial thoughts, because you've not seen it before, and I'm very curious.
Well, my review or my take on it's going to be a mixed bag of stuff. It was 50% garbage and 50% really interesting, and that just had me kind of confused because I was familiar with the director's David Twohy, his career. I kind of know his name, but I had to look him up post watching the movie to see what he's done. He's done some really, really good films and written some really strong stuff. And he's the writer director of this. But I just felt like all in all, it was just like it went off the rails, then came back on the rails, then went off the rails again, and just kept and then really the really fun twist at the end I thought was terrific. And yeah, spoiler alert, this is going to be spoiled completely for everybody because we have to talk about
Yes,
if I'm going to pull out the good stuff, I have to say the ending is the good stuff, not because it was over, but because I actually like the ending, and I should have seen it coming and I didn't see it coming. So but anyway, that's just the initial reaction. We can probably dissect it as we go along.
Well, I'll give my initial too. I remember really liking it then. It's a B movie. It's definitely a B, sci-fi movie. And reading up on it, I was wondering, about it beforehand, why it didn't do as well. It came out the same year as Independence Day. I think like a month before Independence Day, they said. And Independence Day got a lot of the bigger press, a lot of the more advertising, and and the special effects in Independence Day just killed this one. But so we'll say that. But I thought it was a fun movie back then when I saw it. And like I said, I've not seen it over 20 years. I did not see it in the theaters. I saw it later on, at home. I guess I don't remember if it was a DVD purchase or I probably purchased the DVD. So. But I saw it at home a few years after the fact. But I remember enjoying it back then. I thought it was a lot of fun. And it's definitely, like I said, a B movie. And I went back and saw it. And I still found it a lot of fun. I saw I took it for what it is. I thought there were, some schlocky parts in it for sure. and I did not remember it might as well have been a commercial for, against global warming. It might have been produced by the global warming, people, because that's throughout the whole movie was, I thought, a little bit heavy-handed in it, but I did not remember that part. But I still found it to be a lot of fun. I really enjoyed watching it again after this time. And, yes, it's schlocky. Yes, it's B, but I do find it still fun. So let's, I want to hear your deeper dive into it now.
Well, it's interesting, the global warming thing. Back in was this 96, you said? That's when it came out, 96. That it wasn't as, let's put it this way, it wasn't as urgent a concern as it is for so many people today.
Yeah, right.
So it was a little bit, it sort of felt, in whatever you think about it today is, it doesn't matter one way or the other, but it was more of an almost science fiction concept back then, so it suited a science fiction film. And it was, it was going on in many smart people's minds, scientists' minds. And what this movie tried to do is explain it, from an alien invasion perspective. I think that's what I felt like they were doing. Yeah, the messaging was heavy-handed, right, but they were, and I thought as I'm watching the movie, I'm thinking, what, this is really smart. And one of the things I do like about it, and I like this part because it reminds me of the Hidden, which we've done on Forgotten Films.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking The Hidden a lot as I was watching this.
Yeah, because the mystery is, why is this guy being thwarted for his discovery and destroyed, and his partner destroyed, and all these pseudo government agents are after him and after his stuff and all of that. And then you come to find out that the aliens have been occupying the planet for quite a long time. And these people are actually aliens disguised as the aliens disguised as humans. And I found it particularly fascinating that the very first time you get a hint that the aliens are here is 45 minutes into the movie. It's deep. It doesn't happen sooner. And I think I would have liked it. Well, I don't know. There's a lot would have to change for me to like it better. But, that kind of goes against so many storytelling conventions when it comes to movies and screenplays, because you really want to kind of get your hints of what's going on within the first 30 minutes. So holding out another 15 before we find out there's something really weird going on, other than the other weirdness that's going on, kind of threw me. And I thought, oh, well, now I see where this is going. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, the concept that they've always been here is, and the idea behind the global warming issue with the aliens is that they are seeking to terraform Earth. In other words, literally change the environment. They're trying to do it on purpose, I guess, to accommodate their species. But what didn't make sense is their species is living here in our environment. And if it's not hot enough for them now, how are they surviving? Or if the environment doesn't work for them, how are they surviving? And I would thought would have been a very quirky character thing is, if it took place during the summer, or even down when it moves to Mexico, all the human aliens just masquerading as humans should have been wearing like parkas and down coats and ski hats and gloves, and it just would have been such a weird thing. It's like, why are these people dressed like this? Well, it's because their body temperature can't handle the freaking cold on our planet. That would have been fascinating to see. But I that was where, when it started to go again off the rails for the first time for me, is why are they doing this when they're already here? And then I just lost, I don't know, I lost my way in the story, because yes, the inciting incident for all of this is that Charlie Sheen's character picks up a huge radio signal spike from from space, but it doesn't repeat itself. And I can't remember if that ended up being tied to the aliens on this planet communicating with their home planet through this thing or what it was. But why did this spike happen and not happen again? And when the
Well, it
aliens are
happened again
already
much
here,
later on. Toward the end, it happened.
probably. I started losing track of these random details, and that's why I was saying I was confused, and it's probably more my fault than the screenplay's fault. But I couldn't follow that anymore. So finding out that they are aliens in human disguise, I thought was really interesting. And then of course we go along with the adventure, and it really does fall down a big old rabbit hole of bad special effects. And when
Yes,
Charlie
that
Sheen,
I was surprised. Right.
oh god, oh my god. And to hear that they came out the same year as Independence Day, no wonder it got trounced, because the capabilities were there to do much better special effects, but they were terrible. And just bottom line, I get so sick of seeing naked aliens that are all skinny and their arms are like this. They've got big heads with weird eyes, and they're these aliens' legs bend backwards. Their knees are behind them, which is interesting. That's a lot of insects are built that way. Well, actually, no, that's not true. But anyway, it was an interesting characteristic for them. But they're naked. They're always naked, and I just don't get that. They travel space, and they're burrowing down and building a whole, I guess terraforming structure that he stumbles upon. That's just like it makes no sense. I don't even know what they're doing. You can't. A lot of it I couldn't figure out, and I'll get into other details later. So.
Just because you played an alien that wore clothes, I think you should check your privilege right now.
I know, but it's endlessly. Even Steven Spielberg, I don't know, he was basing all his stuff on actual, like, what people have seen, thought they've seen and described. So I get that, but it's just I just thank God for Star Trek, because at least the aliens had clothes. But anyway, that's
well, I'm going to disagree on one part, because I do think we got the thriller aspect of it very early. Not necessarily what we were going to find out later, but I think pretty soon we're starting to see, the administration above him refuting his claims and telling him, like, you're kind of crazy, and, like, pushing them away from being able to do this. The partner, his partner is killed right pretty soon into the movie. So I think we do have, like, the intrigue is kind of there. What's going on, and everyone acting like he's crazy. The girlfriend acting like he's crazy and things. So there's, like, that sense of paranoia a little bit. And I really like Charlie Sheen in this. I really did.
Oh, I did too. I'm a Charlie Sheen fan. I always have been. I always thought it was really good. I mean, so yeah, he pulled it off nicely. And I'm not disagreeing with you. The intrigue was there. The thriller aspect of it was definitely there. But I'm just one of those people where I want that quirky little offbeat thing that says, not just is this or is everyone conspiring against him, but seems to be a weird reason for it. That's all I need. I need a little hint of something, just a little hint of something. Because what turns out to be his primary adversary, played by Ron Silver. Right. He's right there in the very beginning. He's the one who shuts it down. Oh yeah, always. And he's fantastic at it. I hate his guts. I hate his guts all the time. And you always hope that the real person, doesn't have all those qualities in their true personality. But he's this high functioning, humanoid version of the aliens, and that's his job. He's been put in there to thwart all that stuff or be aware of it, or
Mhm.
he's a planted operative. But again, just seeing a little hint of something, but just 5-10 minutes before we see the actual clear indication that this isn't some kind of alien thing, would have been nice. That's all. It would have been nice. But that's for me. I'm a really selfish moviegoer.
Well, again, like I said, I've not seen this in many, many years. I had only seen it once, and that's why I suggested it, because
Yeah.
to get another chance to watch it. And this is what this program is about. I also thought, the schlockiness, and back then, I guess when I first saw it, I didn't think much of it. And the score. I read after this movie, scorpion bites rarely kill anyone, and that's the way one character dies in this. So that was
Yeah.
amusing to me.
Well, it was also weird. It was like
I thought,
he just came up with bizarre stuff
right,
for no
just
reason.
throw it in there.
They're
Yes.
perfectly capable of snapping necks with their arms. They're strong, and they could have killed her easily, but they had to turn it into some sort of a hyper suspenseful, bizarre assassination attempt. And it just was shoved in there. See, that's the off the rails stuff for me. It was just wedged in there, and they never saw anything like that ever again.
Well, nothing was more bizarre and fun because this was it was a B movie than the whole bathtub scene. So I don't want to spoil that either, but that was you're talking about that. There are much easier ways to kill people.
Yeah, it made no sense. It was just like, what is going on? I'm just like shaking my head going, holy cow. And yeah. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that it's like I felt like I was watching two movies that ended up getting cut together, starring Charlie Sheen.
Yes, I would agree with that part. That aspect.
It's because it was too smart to be so stupid. I guess that's what my overall.
I went researching the movie afterwards, and it is on a couple of lists of underrated films from '96, that from that year. And one of the things which really hit it on the head, one article, I'm trying to remember the article, I can't remember now, was saying that it is a fun movie, but and it's exactly what you were just saying, that there's a lot thrown in, just a lot of different genres thrown in.
Good. Well, there you go.
Yeah, that there's a lot of different things thrown in, but they did say that they found it fun afterwards, that you should see it. But yeah, I do think that there are a lot of different things thrown in here, that a lot of little twists and turns that didn't have to be. I think just like, hey, I need a twist here. What can I come up with? Just let me put something in there too.
Yeah.
But I thought the characters were fun. Again, going back to Sheen and Silver, I thought they were definitely fun. I liked Terry Polo in this too, for whatever amount of time that she was in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
And Richard Schiff, I always like in a lot of his roles.
Oh yeah.
I think he's really good. But there were just so many different things, and the special effects did pull me out a little bit, but I still thought it was intriguing enough to follow along. I was into the movie just because I thought that part, the intriguing part, seeing where the story was going. And I also love movies that take place at least some part in Mexico. And this did, those border Mexican towns. And
oh my God. Yeah. I love that. I love that environment. It's a great place to take a story, and I, that part I really liked. But what threw me again was, why is this here? Is all of a sudden Charlie Sheen sees is he's dealing with Mexican authorities,
right.
All of a sudden one of them looks exactly like Ron Silver.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Charlie Sheen notices this, and he's as confused as I am as an audience member. but you never understand why that is. It just, why is he the same kind of guy? And
Well,
the
you
only
don't think
thing,
that explains a little bit later? I mean, that they have like different, they didn't have enough molds. I mean, that he was saying it, that they
but
creating
they
these.
they should have shown that. You need at least 2 or 3 more, body doubles that show us, yeah, they've only got so many, and if he runs into someone else that looks like someone else he knew back in, or wherever it was, it's like, one's not enough. One's a coincidence, 2 is on purpose, and 3 is effective. So you got to at least have that. And yes, I'm hard-nosed about this stuff, because it's like, it's like people don't even know why sometimes they don't like a movie. They can't break it down, because it's usually because the storyteller hasn't given them enough information in an entertaining way. But that just threw me off. And yes, in the middle of this whole, I guess it was the terraforming plant underground that the aliens are running, and it's got all this complex machinery that didn't make any sense, but that's okay, because it's alien machinery. It doesn't have to make sense to us. But it was like, let's just come up with a wild design for this so we can have all these things happening, and part of it's dangerous, and and without any without seeing any kind of results for what this thing is producing. But then in the middle of this thing is this platform that one alien steps on top of and pushes some buttons, and he's transformed into a human. Right. I think that's what happens.
I think that's it. Yes.
Okay. So now we know. All right. So now this is how the human versions of these guys is, because they have this machine, but it's like right in the middle of their terraforming factory instead of somewhere else, which is also odd, but you got a proscenium, you might as well use it, I guess. But then when Charlie Sheen is trying to get away from everybody, and he's having his fights and this and all this stuff, he gets the bright idea to jump on the transformation platform and pushes the button, and the thing transforms him into another human. And not a human we recognize, but all of a sudden he's in like the worker uniform for like all the aliens and the human aliens that are working under there, and he somehow just is able to anonymously move through the space because he's this different looking human. And it was like weird. It was just like, what the hell is this? And I thought I was going to find out why, and I never found out why, and then he peels his face off. It was just like, oh my God. And, but see,
I enjoyed that part.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people did. And I'm all for, schlock sci-fi, but like, go for that, really go for it. I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. It just is like, it wasn't this and it wasn't that. And I keep repeating myself here, but that,
you don't think this is a product of budget? I don't know what the budget was. I have to assume it was low, but it was definitely straddling a line between I'm going for something, really serious and something schlocky. So I think it did straddle a line. I don't know if it was that budgetary concerns with, about the special effects things, but I think that had a lot to do with it. No?
Well, I don't know, because I haven't looked it up, and it'd have to be, contextualized within, the 90s, what the, budget, let's say Independence Day versus this movie's budget. There's an awful lot of stars in it for, being a low budget movie. Charlie Sheen was not cheap in those days.
Right. Yes.
And, the sets were well built, and, they did go on location in Mexico. So, this stuff's not inexpensive. And I thought there was some real good production value in there that ended up nicely on the screen. So I don't know. I can't really tell if it's a question of budget, but again, going back to my already tortured point, good storytelling, this budget is not restricted to any kind of budget, because we looked at that with The Hidden was a low budget horror sci-fi movie, and it was so well done because first of all, you didn't see much of the alien at all until you absolutely had to, but you definitely see that was the thing where you definitely knew there was something freaky going on, because these humans were behaving like like humans don't behave, and it was moving from character to character. And then when you see what it is, it's like, oh my gosh. And that couldn't have been a schlockier little rubber slimy, slug that came out of one person's mouth and then went into another's. And they did it very, very quickly, and it was like, oh, this is what's going on. But all in all, that film definitely was a low budget film, and definitely was a B sci-fi movie. And that's, again, what I love about it. So, I wanted to like this because I really liked the idea, but again, these really bizarre segues that didn't go anywhere.
I'm going to enrage you and enrage a lot of people, I think, because I enjoyed this more than The Hidden.
Oh wow, well, see, that's the question of taste. It's like, I mean, I'm not saying you have bad taste. It's just you have different taste. I will never judge your taste. But yeah, I can understand that. The Hidden, is a little, I don't want to call it cerebral, but it's more cerebral because it's a little bit more about the ideas and the conversation. I'm
not going to judge your taste, but the one that you don't like is more cerebral.
No, I mean that as a style of storytelling, and I'm not saying you don't get it.
You didn't understand.
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's why I said it's a bad word. I shouldn't have used it. It's a little bit more expositional in a way, and you don't. For people who like alien movies, this is a good movie to see. It's got a lot of creepy aliens and the creepy stuff going on, and
the budget was $25 million on this.
Okay, well,
it made $14 million domestically, but it did well overseas.
Well, yeah, there you go. Almost everything does well overseas because the world loves
because
American
of Charlie
movies.
Charlie Sheen's popularity that did well overseas.
Sure.
I'm looking up the Independence Day now.
But yeah, 25 million. I mean, that was reasonably healthy for the mid 90s.
Let's see, Independence Day's budget. All right, so Independence Day had 3 times $75 million.
Okay, well, there you go. I mean, yeah, definitely. But see, well, anyway, this is just a philosophical producer, perspective. Everyone says, they always say this: budgets are always limited. It doesn't matter how much money you have. That's all you can spend, and everybody tries to make their film look like they spent more than they did. That's always a goal. But in my mind, if you're restricted to 25 million with all the effects that The Arrival has in it, then you got to be, I feel, just a little bit more clever about how you approach it, to save the money yet give the same impact that you're trying to achieve. But I think they were using, it looked like they were using computer, it's like CGI in it, but it was just really, really bad CGI.
Oh, there's no question. Yeah, the effects were awful. Just really awful.
Yeah. So I always try to give the the age of the film credit when I consider these things, but I was just groaning on my sofa.
Well, worthwhile seeing at least once.
I think so, 100%. Because see, I think my favorite part about it, like I said, was the end, and only because you end up finding out that this, the typical trope of the teen who befriends the the hero and is almost like a thorn in his side, but then they get along, and then the kid ends up being able to help him do stuff, and he's there throughout the whole movie, only to find out at the end that the kid's also an alien. I thought that was a great twist, and I didn't see it coming, and I should have, and I didn't. And I kept asking myself, why is this kid in the movie? Because he's again kind of wedged in. He's just wedged in, right, and then he's there. and and then I thought
Charlie Sheen trusts him too easily, I think, throughout.
yeah, but sometimes that's the function of the function of a character like that is to allow exposition to take over, because in order for the kid to understand what was going on, Charlie Sheen had to explain it in more, simpler terms for all of us to understand what all the dynamics of the radio signal and the and all of that meant. But like, again, so many clever things. Charlie Sheen is some sort of electromechanical genius, and he's working in, uses one of those big radio telescope arrays wherever they are, Nevada, Arizona, I don't know, to monitor these signals, and then he starts to work for the cable company.
I thought that was a fun, the cable company aspect.
Yeah, it was super clever. So now he's working for the cable company because he can't get a job in his chosen field, and it suddenly occurred, his a light bulb moment where he thinks, man, there's all these satellite dishes. Back when people had satellite dishes that were 6 feet in diameter in their backyards to watch the Super Bowl. He gets the idea to program an entire array of them to help read this signal, and feeds it all into his house, into his computer and all that. And I thought, dang, that's really smart thinking. That's using what's available in a clever and different way that of course would be impossible. But that's the suspension of disbelief. I can get behind that. I can get behind that. I liked that. But then he's explaining to the kid what he's doing and how it's all of that. And and then again, just for the sake of having a wild special effects sequence, like the human aliens bring some sort of, I don't know, silvery copper colored hieroglyphic covered ball and leave it in Charlie Sheen's house, and the thing spins and opens up and light comes out and everything swirls and it does all this crazy stuff, only to basically just wipe it clean. It just wiped everything clean, got rid of all of his equipment and the evidence of what he was doing, instead of just destroying everything with an axe, which would have been just as effective, but of course not as much fun to watch. So again, yes, I recommend a good, especially for the segment of our audience I always like to appeal to, which is those people who, again, haven't seen the film, but you love any film from a certain era, or especially science fiction, because it's always interesting and unique to that period of time in so many ways. And this is one of them. I think a lot of people would definitely enjoy it more than I did. But I did enjoy watching it. See, that's the thing. I love watching these things, especially not knowing. I mean, I did read a little synopsis of it because I had to tell my wife what it was about in order for her to, commit to her seat next to me on the couch.
How long did Tia stay for?
She kind of like paid attention for a good 30 minutes, and then the phone came out and she started doing that. But I was going to shut it off and finish it the next morning. And she says, no, go ahead. Just watch it. Just go ahead and watch it. So I did. And I don't think she had a clue what was going on.
I will say one thing I'm going to add, though, too, before that I hate doing research after, and I've done several movies that I like that I found out afterwards, and this was one of them, that had a sequel, a direct-to-DVD sequel.
I noticed that.
Yes. Where, I don't know if you read the synopsis of the sequel.
No.
So in the synopsis of the sequel, Charlie Sheen's not in it, but the whole pretense is that to get the movie going is they killed his character off, and I hate that. I'm always going to ignore these type things.
Yeah,
because they killed the character off, and it's the brother coming in and investigating things. I hate finding it stuff when I like something and then they kill the character off later on just to make a straight to DVD movie or something like that.
Right.
So
yeah,
and that's what that they did there. So I'm going to pretend it doesn't exist. I like this one. So any other comments on this?
I'm trying to think. I think I pretty much vivisected it. No, I mean that those were my major points that I wanted to
All
make.
right,
So
so
yeah, I think
get
I covered it.
on 1 to 10, what do you give us?
Oh,
For you,
you know what? You're gonna be shocked. I think it should be a 6, but I'm gonna give it a 7 because it's interesting.
really? Oh, I'm shocked
Yeah,
after that.
I know. I know. Well, just because I don't like something doesn't mean, like you asked the question, is it worth a watch for a one-time watch?
No.
And I think it is, because it's just like everything. It's just the subjective nature of, movies and books and music and all of that. I think there's a lot of people that would like it, and it tried really, really hard. It just fell short for me in ways that pulled me out. That's it. So I think a 7's worth it, because it is worth watching. Charlie Sheen's great, and he's just really good, because he really carries the angst well, and I liked his character.
I'm going to say the same exact number. I was looking at it just because I thought taking it for what it is, a B sci-fi movie. Knowing that it doesn't have great special effects, but I still, again, I watched this. This is the second time in my life that I've seen it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I really did. I thought it was just schlocky fun, and so I'm giving it a 7 as well, just based on that. And I'm sure it's not something that I'm going to see often, but I'm sure I'll see it again at some point, maybe another 20 years, who knows. But I like I said, I did think it was fun. But let us know in the comments what you think, whether you have seen it, liked it, agree, disagree. And again, please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And this has been Pop Culture Retro. I'm Jonathan Rosen, along with Ike Eisenmann, and thank you for watching.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Retro, where no one was hurt during the making of this podcast.